Okay, so we're continuing on the theme of rounding up and rounding down and rounding to the nearest whole number. Okay, now what you can see here, we've got this number, this huge long number, 2.86497. And what we know is, this is giving us steps. Check what two numbers it lies between, 2 and 3, and then decide which is closer to, and the answer is 3. Again, the long list of numbers is not important. All that matters is what is in the first decimal place, and that is an 8. And that is the only place that you should look. The first decimal place. Do not look at any of the other numbers. 2.8, we round up to 3. Okay? So let's look at some examples. Now, number 5 is very straightforward. It's just rounding up. These numbers look frightening because they're very long, but you're just looking at the first decimal place. Watch out for F, H, and L. Now they have got a 0 in the first decimal place. Okay? Number 6 is the same thing, but it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through it. This is telling you to use a calculator. You won't be able to do it in your head. Okay, that's why it's telling you to use a calculator. If you don't have a calculator for some reason, I mean, you can get a calculator. There should be one on whatever device you're using. There should be one. Ask your mum, ask your dad. You can get, I'm sure that there are online calculators that you can use. But if you, for some reason, don't have access to one, let me know. So what you're doing is, you're doing 40 divided by 7. So I'm going to do that on my phone right now as a calculator. 40 divided by 7. And the answer is 5.71428, blah, 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 right? But because I'm rounding it to the nearest whole number, all I need to do is 5.7. And I round that up to 6. And what we can then do is say 6 times 7 is 42, which is just above 40, and therefore it's likely to be right. Okay? So you're taking the number, and even when you get to K, 0.4 divided by 0.7, just type those numbers into your calculator. Okay? Don't worry that you've never multiplied or divided by decimals before, because it's not actually asking you to work them out. It's just asking you to do them on a calculator. Okay? So you type 0.4 into your calculator divided by 0.7. And whatever your answer is, that is the number you round. Don't round 0.4 and then 0.7, because that will give you 0 divided by 1, which you can't do. That is what is called, oh no, that would just give you the answer 0, which might be the answer and it might not be. But do the calculation and then do the rounding. Okay? Now M, N and O are word problems. Okay? But you're going to do exactly the same. 2,789 divided by 3, and you're rounding it to the nearest whole number. 92 divided by 5, round it to the nearest number, and 2,000 divided by 12, round it to the nearest number. M, N and O are just word problems doing the same calculation as the rest of 6. Okay, So you see that there's a calculator there with a tick, and that tells you, yes, use a calculator. If you must use a calculator. These are sums that you cannot do in your head. Okay, we're not looking for remainders. You could do them, some of them you could do as remainders. But you can't do, the answer can't be in remainder, it has to be in a decimal, so that makes it very difficult to do in your head. Okay, finally the pink question, number 7. This is optional. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. So we have, here's how you find remainders using your calculator. Okay, so this little section here, I'm going to say you'll need that in front of you at least for the first 2. So we've got 147 divided by 8. Okay, so if you do that on your calculator, it will show you 18.375. Okay, so you take away the decimal, you don't round, you just ignore it. Okay, because if you round, that will confuse you. So you just completely ignore what's in the decimal, and then you do 8 times 18. And we get 8 because we divided by 8 in the first place. So 8 times 18 is 144, and then the difference between 147, the number we began with, and 144 is 3. So our remainder is 3. So for number 7, for 7a, you're doing 217 divided by 8, and that will give you 27.125. You're just going to ignore the 0.125, take the 27, multiply it by 8, and whatever the difference is between your answer and 217, that is your remainder. Okay, again, this is optional. If you get to this point and think, oh, that sounds too complicated, just leave it, because this is just for fun. Okay, enjoy. Let me know how you get on.